Hey gang, I'm back at Rosehill Cemetery. Beautiful fall day today. And we're here today, we're going to do a little walk to a mausoleum. Actually, his name is Foreman. And there's a myth or legend about him that he actually was a follower of a guy named Aleister Crowley, who's pretty infamous. And I'll give you a little background. Well, I'll give you a lot of background on Aleister Crowley. But I'm trying to prove or disprove this myth, this legend. This may be a debunking episode, and I think it's going to reside on putting this episode out and seeing what feedback we get back, because we had Deb, we had Trish, two of our top ancestry folks, volunteers, and we couldn't put any connection, but I found this in a book called Weird Illinois. This story about this guy, that he was a disciple and follower and practitioner of black magic of Aleister Crowley. So let's take a walk and let's talk about this, and we'll end up at the mausoleum of Foreman. But first, look at this. A statue of a young man. His name was Conrad Collar, looks like. Died in 1903. Well, we got 1835 to 1903, Conrad. And we've got John, 1855 to 1910. And we have Sophia, 1837, 1926. So don't think that's any of them, unless this is a portrayal of when, well, Conrad or John was young. Let's take a quick look. Oh, we got something on the side here. So we have Charles Conrad, 1875, 1884. Now that is, I'll bet who this is. We got Ralph C.H. Now maybe you can do some digging on this. So it'd be interesting to see what happened, how he passed. We got a Lillian. And I think that's pretty much it. You gotta be careful here. That is Lamb. And I see that we've got a John here. 1902, so this is the most recent internment. Interesting. Very interesting. A lot of amazing monuments here at Rosehill. We've come here quite a few times to take a walk. So let me tell you first a little bit about Aleister Crowley. He was born in England in 1875. He was quite an interesting character even as a youth. He was raised by religious extremists, and anything that was fun was basically considered a sin. Now, they didn't live in poverty, but they wouldn't spend money on, and when I say anything fun, I'm talking about going outside for a hike or, you know, anything. And it started really wearing on this Aleister as a boy, even affecting his health. And it came to the point where he was dying. Look at this. What a interesting carvings. And I can tell they're in pretty good shape considering the material, because, and I think it's probably because of this little bit of protection here from the snow and ice in the winters, because usually when you see these, they're totally worn away. So it started affecting him as just probably being cooped up, and he was ridiculed mercilessly at school by the other kids. He was getting to the point where it was not looking good, and then his uncle stepped in and finally took him away. And he got him out of there. And it was kind of the opposite now after his uncle got him out. It was more like, let's really have fun. Got him out in the country, and it was all a good start. He was starting to get healthy, but he would take him, he was underage, he would take him to the bars. He even hired a prostitute for him. He's probably 14 or 15. So obviously, once you get a taste of that young man, he rebelled against everything that his parents stood for. And he actually went the way of evil. And when his mother saw the new him, she called him the Beast. 666, and that's how that guy's career, if you will, started. He had sex on his mother's bed with the maid just to spite her. Well, she finally got him out of the house. He went to Cambridge, where he fell in love with a bisexual drag queen. And after his parents finally died, he got a pretty nice inheritance. So he could do what he wanted. And he got into the occult, black magic. He joined a group of wizards that were on the rise. It was called the Order of the Golden Dawn. There were some famous people in there, like poet William Buckley Yeats, and I'm sure you all know Bram Stoker, author of Dracula. And at that point, Aleister became a real heavy drug addict. In fact, he was out of control. And all the people in that club, those guys did not like him. They were all afraid of him. He was doing all these evil spells. He was like into the, like I said, the black magic, all the bad stuff. And they kicked him out. So he just went south with that. He ended up buying a mansion of the inheritance on Loch Ness in Scotland. You know the Loch Ness monster? It's a famous mansion. I'm sure it's still there today. And he performed some rituals. He performed a huge ritual there. And he was hoping to see the devil, I guess. And after doing it over and over and over, he didn't see the devil. So he moved on to other things. By the way, that mansion was bought by Jimmy Page. You know Led Zeppelin? He bought the mansion later on. And he did say that place was pretty darn haunted. He did say that. It is said that because he didn't finish his business there, that he unlocked the gates of hell. So, yeah, he was kind of a, he lived the, he continued the crazy life. He did grow to an old age, and he died, and he wouldn't really be infamous till after his death, because he had, I think he wrote a book, he had writings, still followed today. John Lennon was a big fan of his. David Bowie, Led Zeppelin, of course. Led Zeppelin had, I think, their third album inscribed in the vinyl, one of his sayings. But if you look at the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, famous Beatles album, see if you can find Aleister Crowley. He's in there. He's in the crowd. John Lennon put him in. David Bowie had him as part of a song. So he was, that whole counterculture, the 60s, the hippies followed his rule of do whatever the heck you want with your life, live free. Some live free in evil. Yeah, so but they say that Gerhard Foreman, who actually was, I think it was a banker, in Chicago. And I'll put information in the description box, because we did find an obituary for him. There's not much on him, but he was loaded. But we can't find to put together this connection to Aleister Crowley. And it may be we may have to debunk this story, guys. I don't know what else you might find on the internet about Mr. Foreman here, and this is his mausoleum we're walking up to. Right here. Okay, let's hold our horses here just for a second. Now, when you think about this, the first thing that might have dawned on you already is when you saw the first two pictures at the beginning of the episode of the two men, Aleister Crowley and Mr. Foreman. And you can tell they're from two different time periods. So right off the bat, we can discount the fact that basically Aleister Crowley was only 21 years old when Gerhard Foreman passed away at age 74. So we really have to think about Gerhard Foreman's three sons, his descendants. Now Henry, his eldest son, 1857 to 1932, he was still kind of out of the age range for hanging out with Aleister. But if you look at Edwin and especially Oscar Foreman was born in 1863 and passed in 1933. A little bit older, again, than Aleister Crowley, but in the same ballpark. And maybe that's who we should be focusing on, or their descendants. Very heavy stone structure in the 1800s. Let's take a look. So we have an iron gate, cast iron gate. It's pretty rusted. We have a metal door, looks like it's bronze behind that, with some heavy chains. And of course in the book it had said the chains were put on because before that his ghost would come out and roam the cemetery here. Look at the detail work. And there's something here on the left. I think that's a cherub. Looks like a cherub. But yeah, these are big bronze doors. Wouldn't it be neat to see inside? The inscription on top, Gerhard Foreman. There are inscriptions on the side, these where there may have used to be windows, but these are like air vents, slabs of granite. And as I look at the stonework, I'm pretty sure this is all made of granite. I can see some flecks and sparkles in here. So this is going to last for a long time. So here we see it says, in memory of Hannah H. Foreman, born July 4th, 1836, died April 5th, in 1886. So she was born after, she was younger than Gerhard, and she died well before him, looking at his dates, which are here. Gerhard Foreman, April 29th, 1823, and he died August 13th in the summer of 1897. Now what's interesting is these, I've never seen this before, we have these, the top here, these are vents, air vents, but otherwise there's no windows or anything. Perhaps, I don't know if that was added later or not. Quite an impressive structure here. Here's another inscription. Our dear mama, with a prayer on top, and then on the bottom, our dear papa. And it has their death dates at the bottom of each prayer. Interesting. I don't see any other air vents, so it must all be, I'm guessing they're both right back here at the end. Or they could be in the side here. What do you guys think? Just kind of curious. I like looking at the detail. Look at those drains. It's like little holes. So, okay. All right, well, let's see if we can figure this out. But I'm saying right now that it is a myth, and we'll just respect the memory of Gerhardt and his wife Hannah for what it is. Wealthy Chicago people. And rest in peace.